welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We could not be more happy to be here tonight. Matter of fact, it's been 727 days since the last Tommy Gifford Awards, when we all gathered back in 2019. So we're so happy to be back. I want to thank the team here at the Westin, first off. Allison and the whole team, you guys should know that when COVID came and we had to postpone, there was no hesitation whatsoever. They postponed the date and have been working great with us ever since. So I do want to give a shout out to the Westin right away. Thank you. They did a fantastic job, still doing a fantastic job. So we're trying something new tonight. As everybody knows, over the last couple of years, we've all got new to technology and we've all got new to scanning our menus. So if you look on the back of your name badge here, everybody take your name badge. Got them? Let's see them. Let's see them. I don't see name badges up. Come on. This isn't going to hurt, I promise. And we're going to take your camera, and if you scan the QR code here on the back, we're going to make you an IGFA member. But more importantly, we've got the prize pack that we had there. Well, not more importantly. Jason's going to have words with me after this. We've got a prize pack back there from our friends at Yeti, Costa, and Band of Anglers. It's over $1,200. So we're going to mail that to somebody on Monday. So scan your card and become a member of IGFA. That's the most important thing you can do. So scan them, give them to your friends and scan them. We need to grow the membership, and it's continuing to grow. So I'll quit talking and bring up our president, Mr. Jason Stratweiser. Please welcome to the stage, Jason.
Hey, Eric, while you're up here, just stay up here for a minute. Let's give a round of applause to Eric Combast, our development director. He and his team do a fantastic job at all these events. And I want to thank all the other IGFA staff that put time to work towards making these events successful. It's really great to see so many familiar faces in the audience tonight. And as Eric said, it's really hard to believe that it's been almost 2 years since we've been able to gather to celebrate this great event that we have here. In fact, this is only our second in-person event since the COVID pandemic kind of put the world on its heels 2 years ago. So in my opinion, I don't think we've ever wanted or needed an event like this more than we do now. We've been locked up, we've been secluded, we haven't been able to gather, but things are lifting. You know, we're able to do this again. Right. And, you know, anglers need this. You know, we're gregarious people. We like to gather together. We like to see old friends. We like to meet new friends. We like to tell stories. And that's exactly what this night is about tonight. Celebrating individuals that have made outstanding accomplishments and done great things for our sport over the time, and regaling them with stories about their achievement that range from the dubious to the exceptional. So I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to come out tonight, gather with us, be together again, and celebrate the 5 individuals that we have here. I also want to thank all of you for your support to the IGFA over the years. It really means a lot to me, our board of directors, and the entire IGFA team, especially over the last 2 years, which have been challenging to everybody. So thank you very much. Okay, so before we get started with the honorees, I need to take a few moments to recognize some individuals and sponsors that make tonight possible. I want to start with our Marlin sponsors, starting off with Bayless Boatworks. John Bayless can't be with us tonight, but thank you, John, for that. Custom Shootout and Smith Merritt Insurance. Skip, thanks so much for your support, appreciate it. The folks at Jarrett Bay that stepped up, thank you so much, Randy Ramsey, we appreciate you so much. Moving on to our Dorado sponsors, I'd like to thank Hatteras Shots of Latin America and our IGFA trustee, Ajay Vicente, thank you so much, we appreciate it. Guy Harvey Outpost, thank you, Mark Ellert. Penn and Pure Fishing, thanks to my good friend Dave Bolthice. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for supporting us. And finally, Wild Oceans and our trustee, Tim Choate. Thank you so much. I assume that a lot of people have been to the bar because it was hard to get people back into the crowd tonight. So I also want to know if people have been enjoying the fine Florida Canyon rum tonight. Clap if you've liked it. I want to thank our trustee emeritus, Carlos Pellos, for supplying the Florida Canyon for this evening. So we were really lucky at the IGFA to have a really wonderful board of trustees, a group of individuals that are really engaged and really help the IGFA further its mission and vision. In addition to the trustees that I've mentioned already, I'd like to point out a few others that we have in audience tonight. If you could please stand when I mention your name. We have Terry Andrews. All right, Terry. Our new chairman, Roy Croniker. Gary Carter. Trustee Emeritus, Guy Harvey. And Amanda Sabin. Thank you all for showing up tonight. I'd also like to recognize the people in the audience that are members of our International Committee of Representatives. Our representatives are really what allows us to further our mission and vision on an international basis. So I would like all the reps that are in attendance tonight to please stand up and be recognized. Finally, I want to recognize the people that really have made this event what it is. And what it's become over the last 10 years, and that's the legendary Captains and Crew Committee. There's a tremendous amount of history and intellectual horsepower behind this committee that allows us to select recipients that are worthy of the Tommy Gifford Award, and I'd like to acknowledge each of them right now, so when I mention your name, please stand up. I'd like to start out with our chairman, Skip Smith. Our Vice Chairman, Carl Anderson. Bobby Brown. Bart Garnsey. Billy Harrison. Steve Lasley. Jack Morrow, Mike Myatt, Charles Ferry, Bouncer Smith, Gary Stuve, Lori Wright, and Peter B. Wright. Okay, it's almost time to get this party started, so in order to do so, I want to introduce our Master of Ceremonies. It's not a stranger to you if you've been here before, none other than Captain Skip Smith. Skip's record speaks for himself. He is well respected, well known the world over. He is also exceptionally humble. As the captain of Jerry and Deborah Dunaway's Madam and the Hooker, they went on a quest for 11 years in 25 countries to break billfish records. And they did a pretty good job at doing so, too. Over his career, Skip has amassed a total of 49 IGFA world records, most of them for billfish. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Skip Smith to the stage.
How about it? Thank you, Jason. First of all, without looking at this darn script, which is a little small font, I need to thank all of you, everybody that came tonight. What an amazing crowd of people. The names, I'm just amazed at just the people that are here, people that I've looked up to and friends, and thank you all for coming. Just amazing. Thank you so much. Tonight, we all will be presenting the Tommy Gifford Award to 6 inductees. To read from here, a little bit about Tommy Gifford. Tommy Gifford is considered one of the most innovative blue water anglers who ever lived, and one of the greatest charter skippers to ever guide anglers to the major game fishes of the sea. He began his chartering career in Miami in 1920. Gifford was the first to use outriggers on the East Coast and the first to catch Atlantic blue marlin with these new devices. This is just to name a couple of things Tommy Gifford accomplished in his career. Over the course of his 50-year career, he developed an encyclopedic knowledge of game fish and techniques to catch them. And he served as guide and consultant to some of the most famous names in saltwater angling, including Van Hampton Halen, Charlie Lehman, Michael Lerner, Ernest Hemingway. Raymond Camp once wrote, "Big game angling has a brief history, but Tommy Gifford's name is sharply etched on every page." In the room this evening, we have several past recipients of this prestigious award. Please stand and be recognized when I call your name. Captain Bubba Carter. Captain Bart Garnsey. Captain Billy Harrison. Captain Steve Lastly. Captain Bouncer Smith. R.T. Trossett. And the world famous Captain Peter B. Wright. That's a pretty good encyclopedia right there with all those names. Amazing careers they've had and stories that they've been able to tell. Tonight we're going to be honoring 5 new Tommy Gifford recipients. We have Bobby Brown here tonight. We'll be honoring Alan Card, Tom Jones, Obie O'Brien, and Ansil Saunders. The primary criteria for this award, for receiving a Tommy Gifford Award from the IGFA, is the captain or crew member must have provided leadership in their trade and have earned the respect of their peers, thus making a meaningful contribution to the sport of recreational angling over an extended period. The nominee must demonstrate that he or she has espoused the ethical angling standards stated by the founders of the IGFA. To quote Mark Sosin, "There is no greater honor than to be recognized by your peers. You cannot buy it, you have to earn it." These 6 people have. Tonight, I would like at this time to unveil the new IGFA Tommy Gifford Award Perpetual Award. As I mentioned earlier, and everyone being honored tonight or on this award, it will remain at the IGFA headquarters, and I would like to give a special thank you to Tim Choate for donating the beautiful Ken Hallberg that tops the award. Here's our first one. You guys ready for some history? Tonight, ceremony begins with Ansil Saunders. Stay right there, Ansil, stay right there. We're going to have some people brag about you first, Ansil, so enjoy your seat for a little while. This guy's a rock star. The more I read about him and learned about him, incredible. Here to introduce Ansil tonight are Jeff Storm Harkavy, Ned Stone, and Leonard Stewart. You guys are all on the clock, because we heard you like to talk a lot. Jeff Harkavy's going first. Start the clock.
Yeah, start the clock. Well, good evening and congratulations to each of this year's Tommy Gifford Award recipients. What an outstanding event this is. Thank you, Skip and Jason and Eric and the host select committee for making this special event each year and for honoring accomplished captains and crew. Fantastic event. I have had the honor of knowing Bonefish legend Ansil Saunders since 1969. My father first introduced me to Ansil during one of our trips across the Gulf Stream to Bimini, a place I like to call the island of my youth. Upon meeting Ansil, I immediately felt the enormous magnetic energy that he possessed. It wasn't just his handsome smile and Harry Belafonte-esque elegance. There was a special glow and charisma that flowed from this gentleman. Like all who know him, I knew that I was in the presence of a very special soul. What I did not know then is that Ansil and I would go on to fish together many times in the years to come, and that his beloved granddaughter Katia is with us tonight, along with her husband Antonio and Uncle Tyrone, would become friends with my daughter Heather. When first asked to share the honor of introducing Ansil, I thought, well, maybe we get a few of us together and do a bit of a celebrity roast. Yes, Ansil, roast you a bit, my friend. But wait, look at this man. What in God's name is there to poke fun about? He is as charming and elegant as a human being can be. I mean, who really is that dapper man with the ever-present gleam in his eyes, with remarkable stealth-like bonefish tracking skills? Well, I'm going to tell you who he is. He is a man who had the steadfastness and undying commitment as a civil rights activist to help bring about much-needed change in his nation. A man who helped forge a new chapter in the Bahamas where racial equality and respect for men and women of all colors would be observed. Ansil is a man who in the 1970s was politically active in his country's determination to become independent from Great Britain. In fact, he used his influence to orchestrate an extraordinary celebration on Bahamas' first Independence Day. Ansil arranged for 3 paratroopers to drop from the sky streaming smoke that was the colors of the Bahamian flag before landing perfectly on the bullseye painted in the middle of the community meeting place, which happened to be a basketball court. Whereupon these soldiers then saluted the Prime Minister of the Bahamas and handed him the new Bahamian flag so that he could take down and replace the British flag forever. Ansil is a man who during his nearly 90 years built dozens of the most beautiful handcrafted skiffs you will ever lay eyes upon. Skiffs that were so ahead of their time and so shallow in draft that my friend Chris Peterson, the owner of Hells Bay Boat Works, actually keeps one on display in his showroom as an example for his craftsmen. But wait, there's more. This great captain is one of the 60 founding members of the Bonefish and Tarpon Trust. In 1971, Ansil guided one of his anglers to the largest bonefish ever caught on 12-pound line, a 16-pound fish that has remained the holy grail for this iconic flats game fish for over 50 years. And Ansil doesn't just possess big fish magnetism. He also has attracted some of the greatest leaders of the 20th century into his life, becoming friends and confidant to the late, great Martin Luther King, to Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, and Margaret Thatcher. Ansil even guided President Richard Nixon to a bonefish. Ansil has also been friends with the Queen of England for many decades. In fact, he made and gifted her a necklace made of shells, which the Queen greatly appreciated and wore on occasion. And this necklace is now on display in perpetuity within the Tower of London. Honestly, friends, I'm fairly convinced that perhaps Ansil Saunders may be part of His Majesty's Secret Service. The veritable 007 Ansil Bond of the Bahamas. Just saying. No, I cannot roast this man. I can only acknowledge him and revere him for his greatness. Ansil touches everyone who comes aboard in a very magical way. Being on the water with Ansil allows you to connect with his profound reverence for all aspects of nature and his deep respect for all living things. I had no idea that when I caught my first bonefish on fly with Ansil, that this experience would spark an addiction. Suddenly, the majority of my angling efforts shifted to the pristine and calm waters of the flats and to the subtleties of hunting a target species with my eyes. I've been blessed to enjoy some outstanding fishing days with Ansil on his skiff, which is aptly named the Jewel. Sometimes we fish with friends like Joan Wolfe and Chris Peterson, and other times, most often, with my girls. And although the fishing was always great fun, sharing time with Ansil and those dear to me was always the real gift. On several occasions, Ansil took us to the Healing Hole, a supremely special place where a monument honoring Martin Luther King has been placed. Though I've been moved to tears at the Healing Hole, especially when Ansil reads the psalm that he wrote for Martin Luther King, I'd say that every moment with Ansil, both on and off the water, allows for transformation and healing. Ansil, I know I can speak on behalf of many dozens of others who share my heartfelt gratitude for the memories that you have helped create. Thank you for these. And now, your friends Captain Ed Stone and Leonard Brave Stewart want to share a few words before you come up as well to the podium. Congratulations, and God bless you, my friend.
Good evening, friends and colleagues. Thanks, Jeff. This is one of my favorite nights of the year. This event is special to me and has been for many years. What is better than a room full of friends and families? The honorees have all made significant contributions to the sport we love, but much of tonight is personal for me. I've had the pleasure of catching a grand slam with Bobby. I shared time with Obi in St. Thomas. Alan and Liz Card helped me out in Bermuda. And each has left a record and a legacy for those to follow. Ansil's legacy, as Jeff just alliterated, extends beyond fishing. In 2010, I joined my old pal Mark at Guy Harvey Outpost, and the first thing I did was check the IGFA records for Bimini. Straight away, I found a then 39-year-old bonefish record for the men's 12-pound class bonefish. That 16-pound fish still stands as the 12-pound record and the all-tackle record. Thanks to the IGFA, on the 40th anniversary of that record, we were able to present Ansil with the world record certificate and a photograph taken at the time. It turned out to be a photograph that Ansil had never seen. We held a 2-day celebration, including a flats tournament and a parade. A parade with a Junkanoo band, Ansil and Minister Wilchcombe riding in Ansil's legendary bonefish skiff, trailered through town, followed by an 8-fish-long bonefish made out of paper mache by the local school children. It was a sight, One of the things that caught my attention at the time was there were 3 politicians, prominent Bahamian politicians, who made the effort to come to honor Ansil, and they were from 2 competing parties. Today, one is Minister of Foreign Affairs, and another is Minister of Social Services. No lightweights. The IGFA's Bimini roots start when Ansil was a small boy. Like most of us today, Ansil would hang around the docks and remembers Tommy Gifford bringing in big fish. Living near the Hemingways, Ansil often raced the white kids on the other side of the fence, but remembering not to run too fast. There was no high school in Bimini at the time, so Ansil continued to read and study on his own and attended lectures offered at the Learner Lab. I enjoy my time with Ansil, his wisdom and insights, and I knew Bimini had been a place that Dr. King had visited, but I didn't know much more than that. Growing up, Dr. King was an important figure in my home. Listening to Ansil and his brother Tommy was like history coming to life. Inspired by Dr. King, and maybe remembering those childhood foot races, Ansil stood up. Or more accurately, like Rosa Parks, he sat down. For 41 lunches straight, by himself, he staged a sit-in in the main dining room at the Big Game Club. Yes. Eventually, enlisting a dozen friends for a dinner sit-in, the Big Game Club relented. It was a spark that lit change, and change was afoot, and independence followed. Ansil became involved in local politics, and his oratory skills would take him far beyond Bimini and the Bahamas. With the frequent responsibility of introducing the Prime Minister, now I could tell you about the record, and I could tell you about the fish, but that's Ansil's fish story, and he'll tell it better than I.
Good evening. My name is Leonard Brave Stewart, and I hail from the small, tiny island known as Bimini. Tonight, Jeff, along with Ned, basically said what I was about to say. But not to repeat what they've said about Captain Ansil Saunders, I'm going to go a little bit further and say I've known Captain Ansil Saunders all my 66 years living on the island of Bimini. As a youngster growing up on the island, we mentored fishermen. By the way, Bimini is, for some of you, known as the fishing capital of the world. We have all sorts of records, and we have our very own Ansil Saunders, whose records was mentioned earlier, still stands today. But this evening I come to give respect to Captain Ansil Saunders and to the Biminites and for all those people that reside on the island of Bimini. I would just like to say that greetings comes from the Honorable Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, Member of Parliament for Rumkey, Cat Island, and San Salvador, who was just newly elected Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, September 16, 2021. Also, greetings coming from the representative from the West Grand Bahama and Bimini, the Honorable Obadiah Obi Wilchcombe, MP for Bimini, West End, and Cat Key as well. Tonight, as was mentioned, Ansil as a mentor. You know, in South Florida, you have the Boys and Girls Club. In Bimini, Ansil Saunders with his late brother-in-law, Boysel Cox, they form an organization called the Bimini Youth Building Club. And from that club, they had a baseball team, which I was a part of, and so many others on the island, where we were able to travel to Freeport, and we were able to play locally on the island of Bimini. And through this organization, we have over six pastors and reverends that came out of this group, and so many influential people that are now controlling the island of Bimini today, thanks to Ansil, Boysel, and Eleanor Weiss Spindler for their kind effort in forming the Bimini Youth Building Club. Ansil was an avid sportsman as well in the baseball world, where we played baseball. It was mentioned that July 10th, 1973, I was there present, as was mentioned, when United States parachuted onto the center court of the basketball court. But that basketball court was erected by Ansil Saunders. We played basketball at the Anglican Church, and it was a small court, and due to some unruly boys at that time, they were able to remove the basket, and Ansil, along with the Bimini Youth Building Club, along with help from his friends that came in to fish on the island, were able to build that basketball court there on the island. He was, and still is, an avid member of Our Ladies and St. Stephen Anglican Church. And by the way, Ansil never goes to church unless he has a suit on. That's the respect that he gives to the man above, his Almighty God. So we'd like to thank Ansil for the generosity that he brought to the island, the prominence that he made. He had friends that played with the Miami Dolphin, and also congratulations is coming from Bob Baumhauer from Alabama. He sends greetings to Ansil on this special night for him. Ansil dabbled in politics, and as was mentioned, he was made a stalwart counselor of the Progressive Liberal Party, the PLP party, and that's the now governing party that is now running the Bahamas for the next 5 years at this time. Tonight, Ansil also has family members that are here with him tonight, and I'd just like for them to stand. We have a contingent from Bimini, his sister Gilda Saunders, over here to my right, along with his Ansil niece and nieces and nephews. To my left, we have Ansil niece, granddaughters, grandson, along with Ansil's son, Tyrone Saunders, who would be leading his father up to the podium. And also I'd just like to recognize my wife, Ingrid Stewart, who is here with us tonight. And also we have a famous Biminite who is here, and also a family member. You all should know him, Captain Leon Hensey. Let's give him a round of applause. And everyone, and as they say in the churches, the next voice that you would hear coming from, you would hear from Captain Ansil Saunders, the legend from Bimini. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes. Ansil Saunders.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little hoarse tonight, but I think I could be able to say a few words. I'm so happy to see so much people from all walks of life is watching what you're doing. When you think nobody is looking, everybody's looking. You're writing your own history every day, whether you know it or not. So when I thought nobody looking, all you all was looking. That's why I'm here tonight. I was born in Bimini 89 years ago. My family came from Scotland, was descent from Scotland, and we were some of the first settlers in the island of Bimini. We were all boat builders. I used to build boats for a living, and I came from generations of boat builders. I know there was a man, the name was Bonefish Sam. He was my brother-in-law. And every time we had some time off, he used to carry me over the flats and teach me how to bonefish. And it made me able to bonefish, made me able to build my house at a very early age. The house was sort of a model for other people to go by and admire. So they built houses similar to my own. I was the first stone house on the eastern side of the road, the main road in Bimini. It was nothing but water then. Where my house stands today, we used to catch fish there. So it was filled in, and I was able to supply, by digging the harbor mouth sand, was able to fill it in and supply a lot for many, many fishermen. In my boathouse, that is a landmark in Bimini right by the basketball court. They always refer to my house as the boathouse. I used to build skiffs that I used to bring to the United States. And even though they were only 15 feet long, I used to have more visitors and the rival witches coming to see my bonefish skiff. But I want to say I'm so happy that I was able to satisfy so many guests that came to Bimini bone fishing. I caught the world record in 1971, and it still stands today as the bonefish record of the world 50 years later. So bone fishing paid so much more than carpentry. So therefore, I spend my life bone fishing. I'm so happy that I'm able to come here and see great bone fishermen into this hall tonight from all walks of life. I fish people from Australia and also from Canada, from Los Angeles to Miami. And they all said that the fishing was one thing, but when I say a song that I wrote was another, I brought tears of many, especially women, tears of joy, because where we go fishing, there was a creek there called the Bonefish Hole. And when you get in there, I tell them about Dr. King, and I have a statue there. And you could feel the presence of God there, especially as you go bone fishing 5 o'clock in the mornings. I used to go before the sunrise. And it seemed as if God loved bone fishing, because you could really tell the presence of God up there. When you catch a bonefish sometime, it brings tears to your eyes. When we hooked that world record bonefish. He was around the big mangrove, we call it, and there was 3 bonefish there. And I throw the line, I directed the angler to throw the line exactly where I wanted it to fall. Presentation of throwing the bait is everything to bone fishing. If you present the bait right, 95% of the time you will get a strike. The bonefish that we caught for the world record run off 230 yards of line without stopping. He brought that's 700 feet. He brought the line spool to the knot. One more kick and he would carry the whole thing because there's no more line to give. And that was 71 years ago and it still stands. So tonight, I benefited from building a nice boat, building my house, helping other people build theirs, having the boys club and the girls club. And like I said, when you think nobody's looking, everybody's looking. So I'm so thankful that you all was looking to be here tonight. Thank you very much. I'll say just a little song. I'll say a little of the psalm that I did for Dr. King. And I'll tell you what he said when I was finished. Dr. King was there twice, officially, but he was there many times. He used to come in the night to see Adam Clayton Powell, who was the champion of passing bills, and King couldn't get the Civil Rights Bill passed, so he came to see the King. And Adam Clayton Powell, a very colorful thriller. King says, Adam, you're the most powerful black man in the United States. I want you to go back to help me with the struggle. King, then Adam said to King, you started right. I am the most powerful black man in the United States, and don't you ever forget it. I passed more bills than any man in history, 66 pieces of bedrock legislature, never lost a bill in Congress, had soup lines in Harlem, I paid my bill. And King looked at him and said, Adam, you never finished paying your bill. You never finished paying your bill. And powerful as he was, the way King said it to him, he cried like a baby. Unbelievable. But he couldn't go back to the United States because of what I pointed out. He called a woman a bag woman. She sued him. She won the suit for $160,000. And he didn't want to pay it, so that's how he got to live in Bimini. And that's what they were able to bring Dr. King in Bimini because he needed to see Adam to help him with some things. But tonight, I can't forget to thank you all for coming and watching while I thought you wasn't watching. To be able to have such a powerful banquet dinner in here tonight on behalf of my serving people in the fishing world. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Amazing. I'm gonna take this off for a picture. Step over this way and we wanna get it started.
Thank you all for your patience.
and for your respect of being quiet through the awards. We really appreciate it. His accomplishments, to me, seem like a lot of us captains got a long ways to go to be able to receive an award like this after hearing his accomplishments. Here we go, number 2. Captain Alan Card. Alan could not make it due to the COVID restrictions of Bermuda and many other excuses us fishermen have. But he couldn't make it tonight. But here to introduce and tell a few more stories about Captain Card are Dr. Sue Graves and Ken Lohr. I would like to invite you up to tell us a little bit more about Alan, a couple of inside stories.
Hi, good evening, everyone. How are you? I'm honored to be here and really surprised when Alan called me and he's going, Liz and I decided not to come to the awards. They were so, it took them quite a few days to make that decision, but they thought about it, and with the risk and everything, they decided not to come. So when I found out I was going to be here, Captain James Barnes, some of you may know him from the old Beastmaster, Captivator, etc. He's in Chub Key right now. He gave me his hat to wear that says, "I know Alan J. Card." And I do, fortunately, I'm sorry. Okay, and a button that's on here, it says, "Places to go, people to annoy." And that's kind of Alan, even though ethically I think that's one of the qualifications they're supposed to have here, but I won't go there right now. Okay, some of you may not know me. I was a scuba diver and ran the marina at Walker's back in the 80s, so some of you I know from there. Others I've kind of met along the way, just doing some fishing tournaments, and a lot of people are really excited that Alan's here, and unfortunately they cannot be here, such as Raul Miranda, who started some of the tournaments in Bermuda that Alan also helped with. And I have known Alan since the 1980s, and I read in his bio he's been fishing for 40 years, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I met him right after he started fishing. But anyway, a couple of things about Alan is he will do anything to help anybody at any time. Liz, his wife, emailed me a few things and said, Sue, every time at the drop of the hat, if anyone was in any trouble in Bermuda, guess what? Alan got on his boat and went out to help. Many of you would do the same thing. You know, we've got such a great community of sport fishing individuals and everything. And Alan's got, you know, just such a great family. I've been fortunate enough to stay with them. And Alan called me a couple of nights ago and he said his cat was annoying him. And I'm going, but you annoy a lot of people. Well, we won't go there. But I remember when I was staying with them 16 years ago, he had just gotten that cat as a kitten. And I'm going, what a story. And you would not know that Alan has birds and cats, and he's just kind to animals. And a lot of stories are about him, and I know he's going to talk about himself. I have not seen his video. And thanks to Eric and the IGFA, there were a few issues with getting the video here and everything. But a couple of things that I want to say about Alan is he's so kind and will do anything. The only time I ever really saw him scared or terrified was when his son got the blue marlin sword in his chest. Alan was 15 miles away from the hospital in Bermuda on his boat. To make a long story short, Ian was fine, no problems. Ian's still fishing, etc. However, some of you may remember the Bimini days when Alan was over there, and yes, he fished, etc., but I thought that this is typical Alan Card. Leonard, I don't know if you remember this, but Alan went over to one of the locals and rented a rooster for the day, and he borrowed a leash from a Pomeranian on one of the other boats and put the leash around the rooster. Now, the rooster was never hurt. It was returned in one piece, but the rooster wound up on the flybridge of one of the sport fishing boats during the Bacardi, tied up. Of course, as soon as the sun came up, the rooster's crowing, waking everyone up and everything. But the thing about it is that the owner of the boat where the rooster was thought it was hilarious. He laughed and laughed and laughed. Well, he didn't have to clean up the mess, his captain did. So his captain was pretty upset about Alan. But anyway, how many of you actually know Alan Card? You've already met him and stuff? Yeah, we've got a lot of people who do know him. Do you know his nickname is Stud Muffin? I'm not going to tell you how he got that name. You'll have to email him or call him, okay? But just remember Stud Muffin. And it's not a bad thing, okay? The other thing that I wanted to say is the sport fishing community is a really tight community. All of you will pretty much do anything and everything for anybody at any point in time. I appreciate just being able to do that. And when I asked Alan about his fishing accomplishments, I said, Alan, you've caught granders. And he's going, no, I never caught a grander. They've all been 1,100 pounds or greater. And I'm going, oh, okay. And then you just really drove over them, and you had people on your boat that actually caught them, right? So you were able to drive over them. Anyway, I wanted to make this short, but I really appreciate being on this stage. Ansel, you gave us a tour of many years ago in Bimini of when you were making your boats and everything. I've been fortunate to know most of the people who've been nominated tonight, and I feel that's an honor. And I really appreciate just being able to stand up here. But I want to leave you with this saying: we're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time. So let's still continue with our good times. Thank you.
Did Ken Lohr make it here? I don't know if I ran into him or not. There he is. Dr. Graves said she hadn't run across you yet, so I had to double check. Good evening.
Good evening. It's truly an honor to have been asked by Captain Alan Card to join Dr. Sue Graves to represent him in this awards banquet. I cannot think of anybody more deserving to be recognized by the IGFA. And I greatly appreciate them choosing him to be among the recipients for the Captain Tommy Gifford Award. Sue asked a question, I'm going to ask again. How many of you been to Bermuda? How many of you know Alan J. Card? Well, Sue has a hat, and I have a hat as well to prove that we know Alan J. Card. So do I. Alan was with a group of us out one night and was right full of himself, and James Barnes and myself and a few other people decided we needed to just have a little word with him. So we had those hats made up, and the next time we saw him at one of the tournaments there at in Bermuda, we all had our hats on when he walked in. It's the first time I ever saw him at a loss for words. It's pretty funny. In 1992, the boat I was running, a 54-foot Ricky Scarborough called the Whopper Stopper, and 4 other U.S. boats, the Subaru, the Captivator, the Temptation, and the Trophy Box, we all made the journey to Bermuda. My boss, Ronald Stone, had always wanted to experience incredible blue marlin fishing in Bermuda, and so off we went. I'm not sure what precipitated the other 4 boats going, but to my knowledge, it was the first group of U.S. boats to invade the island. I was very proud to have been a part of that, and I think the number of visiting boats has grown to more than 60 in recent years. Besides the incredible blue marlin fishing, the people of Bermuda were the best part of the trip. Many of them have become great friends. One of them is Alan. I cannot think of a better ambassador to Bermuda than Alan J. Card. He was one of the first to welcome us and bent over backwards to help all of the U.S. visiting boats. Alan is just that way. As Sue touched on, he never hesitates to lend a hand to a boat in distress, whether they call him in the middle of the night or Harbor Radio gives him a call. He's always out there to do what he can to help. A little history of Alan. Alan started his career in 1967 as a boat captain. He reminded me just the other day he's been fishing longer than I've been alive. Some of Alan's fishing achievements are the first swordfish for the island, first bluefin tuna for the island, first blue marlin over 500 pounds. In 1982, an 1,130 pound blue marlin. 1989, 1,190. 1993, 1,195. And he still holds the Blue Marlin World Cup record. In 1995, an 1,153 pound blue marlin, and 2 weeks later, 1,162. 2002, 1,199 blue marlin, and in 2016, 1,289. Although I'm told there's an asterisk by that one. With all these incredible catches, Alan and I do have one thing in common. Neither one of us has ever caught a grander. All his have been over 1,100 pounds. After that first, he was involved in another one that I was involved with. He ran the boat, the Whopper Stopper, while I caught my first blue marlin. He fished with us many times we were there and loved running the boat to give me a break. It takes someone who really loves sport fishing to take their day off and go sport fishing. The blue marlin did get some revenge on him a few years ago. He came off the bridge to help get the hook out of about a 300 pounder, and it was still angry. So it swiped up and slapped him in the chin. Now he's got 40 stitches, or he had 40 stitches, and now he's got a good scar to show for it. Congratulations to Captain Alan Card. Oh, before I forget, a longtime mate or an old mate of his, David Soares, is here from Bermuda. He has a couple of notable catches as well, 1,003 and 1,004 bluefin tuna. Both of them Bermuda records. So good for you, David. Congratulations to Captain Alan Card, and thank you for the IGFA for honoring my friend. By the way, Alan asked me to say hello to Captain Bobby Brown and to congratulate him and all the other recipients as well. Thank you.
Like I said earlier, unfortunately, Alan's not here to receive his award. COVID days, you're not allowed to lick your fingers, but I got away with it. RT Trossett wants the mic. Come on. This is supposed to be a fun event. Come on, man.
Awesome. Well, I met Alan Card. Ooh, that's loud.
Say whatever you want, a little lower though.
Yeah. I met Alan Card, and a friend of mine took us over for his wedding in Bermuda, Nick Malinowski, and Alan takes us fishing, and we're on one of his programs. And Alan's a stickler to what he did. And he took us out fishing, and we're starting to chum, and he's throwing 2 mahua. That's a little tiny glass minnow. And here's a veteran Key West guy thinking he knows everything there is about Bermuda. And he's throwing 2 mahua and a piece of marlin meat. And he's watching his son, and his son says, he yells at the son, his son says, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." And we had 10 tunas coming into chum, eating each size, and he was telling us which one there was. And it was unbelievable what he knew about dead bait chumming. And from Key West, I'm going like, we just need live bait, we just throw it all. But from that point on, I learned so much from that man. And he's caught so many giant marlin, but he can also chum the bank. And I'd just like to say, thank you, Alan Carter. It was awesome.
Thank you, RT. I sent a charter to Alan, and the guy showed up with his 6-year-old daughter, and I told him, I said, you know, watch it, Alan likes to talk a lot. The 6-year-old daughter went up on the bridge. He finally sent her down. She won. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Roll the video for Captain Alan Card, please.
Now, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for not being in person with you guys tonight. I was advised not to travel. I guess we can blame it on COVID. I don't have it, but that's the way life is right now. My career goes back quite a distance. 1967 is when I first started charter fishing. And target species in those days was wahoo and yellowfin tuna. We could get a pretty decent price for it. Blue marlin every now and again we'd catch. Had a lot of big fish out there that we could never catch. We never had the tackle to catch. And finally, Walter Voss on a boat called the Sequest showed up here on the island. And his boss had a house, and they used to travel back and forth every year. And I had the privilege of traveling with Walter on numerous occasions to Florida, even to Newport, Rhode Island, for the America's Cup races. But anyhow, in the years that I spent traveling with Walter, a lot of conversation, a lot of thoughts and talk, a lot of movies, a lot of stories about blue marlin. And after a while, we were able to afford to purchase tackle that was big enough to be able to overdo these fish. And we started catching some pretty decent ones. Matter of fact, I've caught some of the biggest ones that landed in Bermuda waters. The biggest one so far has been 1289. It's been a privilege that a lot of people just dream about, and I've had the opportunity to catch them. But anyhow, enough of the fish stories. One of the highlights of my career is being able to fish with my son Ian as mate. Probably the last 30 years or so. Not too many people can boast that. And the experience has been priceless, really. Something to be proud of, I think. I'd also like to say thank you to my wife, Liz, for putting up with me for 52 years. Somebody that lived with a fisherman for that long is somebody special. I always said that one of us deserves a medal. I'd also like to send a big thank you to the International Game Fish Association for considering me for this prestigious award. I know some of the previous recipients, and to be able to stand in a line with these guys, even if it's the end of the line, it's quite a privilege. Special thanks to Sue and Kenny for the introductions and receiving the award for me. I told Sue that I'd look after it. She can't sell it or eat it, so I don't know what the hell's going to happen with it. Somebody asked me one day when I was going to retire, and I said, what would I do if I did? Go fishing? And I think realistically, as long as the boat floats and I can climb the ladder and turn the keys, we're going fishing. Anyhow, be safe, everyone, and thank you very much for the kind words. And I wish you all the best. Be safe, and may you all have high jumpers and tight lines. Thank you.
Congratulations, Captain Card. We all look forward to congratulating you in person sometime soon. Next on the list, Captain Tom Jones. Carl Anderson, I'd like you to introduce.
It's not very often we get to honor a captain who predates Tommy Gifford, who the award is named after. Captain Tom Jones is from my hometown of Beach Haven, New Jersey. In 1908, Tom Jones sailed a schooner down to Miami and then on to Key West and fished the whole way down. By 1911, he had figured out how to catch the first bluefin tuna on the Barnegat Ridge. Tom was a pioneer in that department, basically created the bluefin tuna fishing off the mid-Atlantic. I want to read something Kip Farrington wrote. It's pretty good. 1935, Kip Farrington in the Atlantic Game Fishing, his book, Atlantic Game Fishing. It's possible at Beach Haven to charter some of the finest fishermen who fish the southern waters in the winter and the ridge in the summer. They are all crack navigators, cut to beautiful baits. They tie up next door next to a club, which incidentally has great mounts and books, a fine collection of fishing memorabilia. Captain Tom Jones, who fishes off Palm Beach, charges $30 a day and comes back to New Jersey in the summer. He has the tackle that is needed and changes, and especially he has a boat built for rough water, a novel safety factor which the original boats in Beach Haven fleet use is carrier pigeons to send messages ashore regarding fish already caught or on location of fish that have been sighted so that the latecomer going offshore can find the fish. Pretty primitive stuff, but very cool. Carrier pigeons. Anyway, Captain Tom Jones's boat right there, New Jersey skiff, the Miami. We're honored tonight to have Captain Tom Jones's mate, Ivan Farrow's daughter here with us, Jill Farrow, some other Beach Havenites, and I'm really honored to have Captain Tom Jones's neighbor here with us, and he also made his first trip offshore fishing with Captain Tom Jones, and that's my dad, Chris Anderson from Beach Haven. So Dad, if you'll come up, say about Tom Jones. This is really early game fishing stuff. It's really cool. There's a lot written about Tom Jones. The guy was unbelievable. And pretty special that he comes from our hometown of Beach Haven. Really fishy spot.
Not knowing that I was going to be asked to say something, it'll be very short. I just want to say that I grew up right next door to Tom Jones. I was a little guy running around the yard. He'd be opening oysters in his garage. Well, come on over, boy. He'd open up an oyster and I'd slurp it down. He'd chuckle. I could still see that chuckle and a gleam in his eye. He just loved it. Anyway, I had a chance to go. I'd gone to sea many times with my dad off to surf in a pound boat, commercial fishing. But when I got to be about 8 or 9 years old, Tom agreed to take me out offshore fishing. And he was waiting for a special good party, family party, that wouldn't mind a ride along. So I caught my first, what we call albacore up there. Down here you call them boneheads, I guess. But that was a thrill for a young kid, about 9 years old. And that got me hooked on sport fishing. And it wasn't too many years later, I started at 13. My first job as a mate on the charter boat. Caught an awful lot of school tuna. And I can credit that kind of fishing due to Tom Jones finding the spots do all kinds of testing, and he was the pioneer of the eastern bluefin tuna fishing. Great honor to have known him and to have been able to fish with him. Gave me a life of long time fishing, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Jason. We're very happy to present the award to Tom Jones, to Chris to accept it tonight. Thank you. Next up, Captain Obi O'Brien. Here to say a few real kind words about Captain Obi are Captain Bart Garnsey and Charles Perry. Bart, come on up stage, start us off.
Bright enough for you, those lights? Are they bright enough for you? Appreciate it. I think there's at least 3 or 4 people out here. This is a real privilege to be here. Captain Obi and I pretty much grew up together, friends for a lot of years. I'm looking at this crowd, and what I can see of it, I feel like Johnny Cash when he played at, I think it was Folsom Prison. Anyway, real quickly, I want to tell you a story that I've told before to some folks, but I was in Venezuela years ago, and fishing was real good, and politics was a lot better than it is now. And, you know, you're up on the bridge, a lot of you guys have done this, and you're up there, and part of what you do is talking to the people in your charter or whatever that's riding on the boat, and you meet a lot of great people, you learn a lot of things. And I enjoyed that part, but one day I guess I wasn't feeling real talkative, and a guy sitting on the bridge with me, he says, Bark, what are you thinking about? And he said, you look like you're pretty serious. And I got thinking about it, and I realized I was being a little bit rude. And I looked at him, I said, you know, did you ever think what hell might be like? And he kind of looked at me, he said, no, I never really thought about it much. And I said, well, I've been studying on it. I said, you see that boat over there about a quarter mile away? So that's Obi O'Brien. I got thinking about it, and I thought, I think that hell might be having to get up in the morning and try to outfish Obi O'Brien every day. And having said that, I'm going to let Charles finish. Thank you.
CP, come on up. Whenever you can stop laughing.
Unfortunately, I can't compare with that. I never could. Never have been able to. I got one quick story to tell about, I fished one season. Probably, I fished quite a few seasons down in St. Thomas, and probably the best season I fished was with Captain Obi O'Brien. And Ray Walters, which some of you probably know, who is quite the character, he and I were working on the deck for Obi, and we called it Obi Tech. And it was not being facetious, and I think Obi got the word that we were calling it Obi Tech. And I went up in the bridge a few times, and Obi stayed in the bridge. He lived in the bridge. He didn't come down for anything. And so I was up there one time, and he would point at the rigger, and he'd say, you know, he'd turn and go down and see or something. He'd go, move the rigger line up this far. Well, sometimes it would be this far. And so I would go, there's got, you know, he's doing that for a reason. So I went up in the bridge one time, and I said, Obi, I want to know, what is this about? And he thought I was being you know, at first, and I said, no, Obie, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm serious. You're doing this for a reason. I want to know because I want to learn. And from that time on, Obie taught me more about lure fishing in one season than I've probably learned forever, even working with Bark. But the one quick, I've been taking too long, aren't I? The one quick story, Ray Walters, if any of you know him, he likes to gamble on everything. Ray Walters will gamble on whether the sun's coming up or not, or what time it's going to come up. Anyway, there was, Obie, don't come off the bridge. And so one day I said, Ray did not know Obie like I did. I had known him from Hillsborough and I'd known him quite a while. And so Ray says, I said, I tell you what, Ray. He said, how come Obie never comes off the bridge? I said, I can get him off the bridge. He said, no way. I said, well, you want to bet on it? Yeah, $20. I said, you got it. So I had been out on the 10 days on the dark of the moon. I had been out with a friend of mine, and we had been diving around the golf course, and I had a whole thing of golf balls, and they were all scarred up. So I led Ray on quite a bit and got him all cranked up. So we had a $20 bet, and I went out there in the corner of the cockpit, and I picked up our little baseball bat that we had that we clubbed the fish with if we were going to take them, which didn't happen very often. And so I threw this golf ball up, and I would swing, and I'd miss it, or I'd foul it off. And I knew Obie couldn't stand it because I knew that Obie was a terrific baseball player. He probably could have played pro ball from what I understand. And so Ray didn't know that. So I would foul them off, and I would miss them, and they'd fall on the deck, and I'd say, I'm sorry, Obie, you know, and I'd pick it up, and I'd try another one. Well, it wasn't long before Obie said, come on up here, Charles, drive this boat. And Ray was standing under the ladder, and I walked up the ladder, and I went, $20. I got Ray on the 20. Obie came down there and didn't miss a one. And he was knocking them like in left field. I mean right field. He didn't miss a one. All the balls went out there, and he came back up in the bridge. I think for the whole season, that was the only time he came out of the bridge. But Obie O'Brien was one of the finest gentlemen anyone would ever meet. He was a terrific person. He didn't mind. He loved to teach people, and he showed me a whole lot about lure fishing. Wished I could have been in his caliber. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you, CP. Unfortunately, Captain Obie O'Brien passed in 2020. However, thanks to Captain Kevin Nakamura, Captain Gene Vanderhoek, and IGFA representative Rick Gaffney, Bart Garnsey and myself were able to induct him into a private ceremony before his death. It was a truly touching evening, and I want to thank everyone that made it happen, especially Jason, IGFA. Thank you so much for that. And get the Kleenex out. Here's a short video coming from that evening with Captain Kevin Nakamura.
There you go. Yeah, so yeah, it's an honor for me to be a part of this, and growing up reading Marlin Magazine, Obie's a household name to me, and that's why it's such a big honor for me to be here today. My small world story is that this fishing world is so small. And, you know, we had to behave ourselves because you never know who you're going to run into. And we're traveling around the world doing our thing. And my wife was headed to Madeira with my 2 children. And I had to come later. The boat that we're shipping there was late, and I was, you know, chomping at the bit to get it there, but had to wait. So my wife went ahead to be with her family. And she was about at her wit's end in the Lisbon airport. And she's got 2 little kids and all the gear. And a couple walks up to her and says, "Are you Elizabeth?" And she looked at them like, "What? I'm from Kona, headed to Madeira. How would you know me in in Lisbon Airport. Well, it was this lovely couple, and they were headed to the same spot, which fishing brought us together. Fishing, we're headed to this great fishing hole, and they were able to recognize my wife, and OB grabbed their bags, and Shark took one of the kids, and they got on the plane like a family that only the world of fishing would unite like that. So that was my story for today. And congratulations, OB. And congratulations.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Mark, let it rip.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this real short, but it's pretty easy, by the way, to recognize Elizabeth because she's probably the prettiest girl in Portugal, so that helped a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I was fishing years ago alongside of Skip and Obi in Venezuela, and I don't remember who was on the boat with us one day when we were fishing, and he was asking questions about all the guys that are out there fishing, and you know, and what about this guy and what about that guy? And he's asking all these questions, and I turned around and looked at him. I said, "You know what hell is?" And he says, "No, I'm not sure." And I said, "Hell would be have to get up every morning and have to try to fish alongside Obi O'Brien." And that's the truth. He was just like Skip. He was just like Skip. Skip would kick my butt one day, and then Obi would get it the next day, you know. So, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm really proud of you, Ob. Thank you.
Thank you, Bart. You kicked our ass enough days.
Yeah, just fishing off the dock. That's what I was doing there.
You had a faster boat. You got there, you caught more, you got in, you had us all wrapped up there in Venezuela. That was awesome. I like Obi's story when you guys were fishing in Madeira and got back, and Obi's going to tell me this story about Stewart and a backlash. And so Obi, he's got this big sombrero on, and Stewart's got one the same to keep the sun off of him, and Obi told us it's unbelievable, but I'm gonna try this to mess it up a little bit here. And so Obi's telling me the story, and he says, "Yeah, Stewart's got the rod tucked up under his arm, and he's free spooling, and this backlash comes out, and the next thing you know, the strings coming down his hat got in the backlash." And Obi, to show me how it goes, pulls his hat all the way down over his eyes. He says that's what Stewart looked like.
Oh God, I'm dying.
Hey, Bark. Remember the grommets kept pinging off the bridge.
Yeah, the drawstring on the hat. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's good stuff.
You told that story so good, I thought I was actually there. Anyhow, thank you, Kevin. I don't know if Gene's got a story, if he thought of something on the ride across, or if Daphne wants to chip in, now's the time to do it. But as I'll turn it over right now to our great IGFA rep, longtime guy over there in Hawaii for us all, Rick Gaffney, to present the Tommy Gifford Award to Captain Obi O'Brien.
This is a superb honor for me.
Honor for me.
Having been a captain and understanding what that's like on a daily basis, but also as a journalist, having been able to fish all over the world and fish with a number of the guys that have been awarded this award over time. I know the stature and the importance of all of these guys. So even though I never had a chance to fish with OB, certainly knew the name, and it really makes me proud to be able to be here today and to present this award to Captain OB O'Brien.
Obi, what do you got to say?
I gotta say it's a tremendous honor to receive this.
Well, you well deserved it. Take a breath of air there, but you've led a great example you know, everybody knows how class you were. You were very humble. And, you know, to be able to give you that award makes us and the IGFA very, very proud to, you know, have you in this group of people.
Yeah, it was just such an honor. We tried to do it the right way all these years, you know.
You did it.
And to have to
You did it.
have to compete against you guys, you know, Skip, Bark, and it's a real honor to receive this.
You're a very humble person, and you're very humbled again now, I can tell.
This Tommy, you know, this great Tommy Gifford Award. Great fisherman and great guy.
You're our Tommy Gifford right now, Cap.
Well said.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Is Gene there?
Yep. Yeah.
Get Gene to stick his head in here for a second.
Hey, Skipper, how you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for coming out and representing all the best captains we have over there. We hope to see you over here during the boat show here real soon again.
Well, it's an honor to be here, like everyone said, and OB is obviously very deserving of this award. Gives us all something to aspire to our whole careers, and I'm just honored to be here with everyone. And congratulations, OB. Good job. Good job, buddy. And you guys should see his house. This is a pretty good digs he's got going on here.
Well, we hope to see all you guys over at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show this year when we have this event. I'm sure all you guys will be there, and we can do this all over again. But it's awesome just to make sure we have it in the bag right now. So on behalf of the legendary Captain Crew Committee and the IGFA, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. This is an extraordinary night. Congratulations, Captain O.B. O'Brien.
Those guys made a drive all the way from Kona over to Hilo to do that for us. Thank you, our Hawaiian brothers. John O'Brien, Obi's son, was also with us when we inducted Obi through that Zoom phone call. And he is here tonight to accept the award. John, please join us to say a few words.
Wow, this would have been a lot easier if it was before the video. First off, I know what you're thinking. John looks really old. I don't normally have a beard, but I thought I would do this in honor of my dad, since he never in his life went without a beard or a mustache after like 20 years old or something like that. We actually look a lot alike. Somebody, I think, thought that I was him. But the difference is he had no neck, and mine is more like a giraffe. I idolized my dad, and I was so proud of him. I was proud to look like him, and I was proud to be called Little Obe as a little kid. My Uncle Jim, some of you guys know him, Jim O'Brien, my stepmom Charlene, they really wish that they could be here. My uncle is battling prostate cancer, and Charlene is in Hawaii and couldn't make the trip. On behalf of our family, I would like to thank the IGFA, the committee, specifically Skip, Jason, Bark, Kevin, Gene, and Rick. You guys getting this done while he was still alive meant so much to him, and it meant so much to us as a family. To be recognized by the best of the best as one of the best just meant the world to him. He never set out to win an award like this, but I can guarantee you that he set out every day to kick your butts. those of you guys who didn't know him that well, he was really mild-mannered and quiet. But those of you who didn't know him real well, he was a fiercely competitive person, super passionate about the sport, and loved just getting after it every single day. Brought some notes just in case this happened. Those of you who were blessed to fish with my dad, just like Charles said, he loved to teach people how to fish. And some of the greatest captains, mates, and anglers learned the trade or perfected their skill right alongside of him. And it was just an honor for him to be able to do that for people. He loved catching people, their first blue marlin, etc. Dad learned fishing from an early age, from my grandfather, Captain Bud O'Brien on the Helen S. Then he grew up on the docks in Hillsborough Inlet. And that really helped to mold him into the tremendous boatman, mate, and captain that he was. Some of you guys possibly, and I know several owners, would call upon him to help rescue them from some really bad situations. He was always willing to do that. He loved to teach. He was always willing to talk with people as they'd stop behind the dock, behind the boat on the dock, and just kind of go over charts and show them the ropes. There was a movie that came out a couple years ago called Ford versus Ferrari. If you saw that, the character that Christian Bale plays, his name was Ken Miles, and he was the mechanic, and he was getting ready to drive the Le Mans racetrack, and his son said to him, Dad, you can't make every lap perfect. And he turned to him and said, yeah, but I can try. That epitomized my dad when it came to fishing and in life. He wanted to make every tack perfect. He wanted every bait to look perfect, just like Charles said. And Charles, I'm sorry, for having to undergo that, where, come on, raise up the pin, bring it down. Yeah, he would do that all the time. It was funny, but it was true. It made a difference. Instead of telling fish stories, my dad went out and caught the biggest or caught the most. He didn't have to embellish. He was a truthful man, a very honest and kind man, and he was willing to lend a hand to whomever. He was my idol as a kid. I remember the dates of his accomplishments each season as if they were printed on the back of a baseball card. It's one of the ways I tell time. Little boys love to talk about their dads and kind of compare who's got the best dad, my dad's greater. But in my case, mine actually was. He and his anglers, the boats, they won awards, they won tournaments, but he won my heart. Was he perfect? No, he wasn't. But as a kid, there was no way you could have convinced me of that. I thought he was. He was like royalty on the docks. He was royalty in our house, on the ball fields, in our front yard, and in my house, in my heart. He was a quiet man. He was never one to step on someone else to try to get to where he wanted to go. He never cheated. He didn't play favorites. He hated hypocrisy. He was an extremely practical guy, very much a traditionalist. He shied away from the limelight. He was not flashy in any way. He always let his actions speak for themselves. Then during my teen years, we didn't get a lot of time together, but I always knew that he loved me. He loved my brother Jake greatly. My brother Jake passed away tragically about 4 years ago. But Jake was so proud of my dad, so proud of all the accomplishments. He always loved to put a smile on his face and make him laugh. And one of the most memorable things in our family is one season when my dad was running the CD, he invited Jake over to fish for a week. And on one of the lay days, they went out, they decided to go yellowtailing. So they took out the Carolina skiff. It was like a 16-foot skiff with a little tiller motor. So, you can picture it. Here's my dad, one of the world's greatest captains amongst you guys. And they're on their way back. My brother's sitting up forward. My dad says, all right now, Jake, when we ease on up into the dock, I want you to just grab a hold of the piling. I'll just ease her on up. So Jake's ready, and he gets up there, and instead of, again, my dad hasn't run a lot of tiller motors, and so just as Jake's getting ready to grab hold of the piling, my dad hits the throttle. The boat lurches, and next thing you know, you've got Jake, who was like 6'3", 275, clinging to the piling like a little bear, Meanwhile, my dad bounces off the piling, hits the dock, and so that brought us a lot of laughs, and it's one of the greatest stories within our family. So, in closing, I just wanted to thank you all again for this honor for my dad, also for just being the brotherhood to him. You guys truly were a brotherhood. I want to thank you for those of you who did, for calling him as he battled cancer. My dad died from brain cancer last July. Just to pick him up, to encourage him, to tell old stories and new ones, to let him know that you were there and that you loved him. It meant just the world to him when the phone would ring and someone would call. So, again, thank you very much.
Jason, come on up to present the award to John O'Brien for the late Captain Obie O'Brien. Obie has his award out in Hawaii, so before we go on to number 5 and the last one, the way this we honor the captains is we ask you all to send in information on one of your favorites that may be a legend in the sport. Just email the information as much as you can to the IGFA. Randy Ramsey, thank you for your support. You probably got a lot of captains there you could probably send in. You got a lot of history back up in there. So if anybody's interested in submitting somebody, please just email it to the IGFA and we'll get it in our big black book and take a good look at it, and hopefully we can honor these people that deserve it. Also, thank you all for being so respectful and quiet to these people. It's, you know, they've really earned this recognition, as you well know, so thank you for that. Number 5, not in that right order, just happens to be in the book. Captain Bobby Brown. Our final inductee of the evening. Here to share a little bit more information about Bobby is the Momster. Momi, come on up.
Aloha, everyone, and mahalo, and thank you very much for this beautiful evening and honoring a very, very special person to myself, my family back in Hawaii, and all of his family here. I got a real old story, and it's nothing about me, but it was about Bobby and he taking out my mother fishing. And this is kind of a story where they were fishing between the islands and headed to Lahaina on Maui from Kona. And, you know, smaller, I'm not sure if it was the 37 Merit, the old No Problem. And my mom couldn't fit in the head. Big lady, so this is a chuckle story. Going through the Lahaina, to Lahaina in the Alinuiaha Channel, rough water, and heading that way to the Maui, she couldn't fit in the head, so the ikama, the light bait well, was in the back, and you know, you got to do what you got to do. So she jumped in the toilet, and not the toilet, but the light bait well. Only one problem, big lady. She got stuck, so she had to run the whole channel, about 50 miles, until she got into the lee. But, you know, just the fact that my family in Kona, in generations with Bobby as a master in Hawaii, we call him kumu. Kumu is a teacher in dancing, in fishing. I'm blessed because my grandfather was a pioneer captain with Henry Chi back in the old days, and George Parker. So it carries in the generation. Bobby has been a very big mentor to myself, my dad, and all of his other deckhands, captains, and crews that known him. I am privileged and honored, and also wanted to just let you know that his son, Robbie, and he also has another young boy there, his grandson, Keel. The generation continues. The love of fishing, as you've seen Gene Vanderhook and Kevin Nakamaru, our Kona brothers, our spirit is all in the ocean, just like all of you people from Bimini and anywhere in the ocean. The water is our cleansing. So we respect the ocean, we give, we take from the ocean. And the most important thing is that we respect the ocean. Bobby is a teacher. He's shown me a lot. I love him. And the family, his brother, I'm going to just say Monty, Uncle Monty, Kiki, Elaine, Trisha, Dennis, Robbie, and my good brother over there Andy Moyes. I love him too, man. I just want to say thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I live in Texas now. The Hawaiian is in Texas. And, fishing long runs, 140 miles out to Perdido and Boomvang, whatever. You do what you got to do to provide. And, that's what I was taught. You take care of your family, you take care of your people, and you take care of the ones that help you provide for your family. Mahalo.
Monty, would you like to say a couple nice words about Bobby? I got a couple really bad stories I probably shouldn't tell here, but come on up, Monty. Use your best Tahitian accent, please.
Okay, all right. Well, wow, those lights are bright. Yeah, as Momi says, aloha. I'm Monty Brown, and I'm proud to say that I'm Bobby Brown's brother. By the end of this speech tonight, or my little talk, I'm going to refer to Bobby Brown as my brother. And we grew up, fortunately, on the island of Hawaii, and spent most of our time over on the west side in Kona, which is renowned for its game fishing. But we were young boys, and got our love for fishing by doing our summer vacations from school when we were 8, 9 years old. And we would walk around the lava rocks in front of our beach house catching reef fish with bamboo poles. And that's the way we passed our summers. But again, we were quite young. And then our mom and dad were very avid cribbage players. I don't know if we have any cribbage players in the house here, but we were very close to a state senator by the name of Doc Hill, William Doc Hill. And Doc had a 45-foot Howley sampan called the Miss Kona. And he had befriended my parents as his cribbage partners, and he loved to take them out so he could get away from politics. So after several trips, our mom said to Doc, look, if we're going to continue this, we got to bring the boys along because I just can't keep leaving them at home. So Bobby and I were allowed to go out on Miss Kona and play on the deck while they played cribbage. Well, one of the rules of the cribbage games was that if you were losing, and they gambled, there was money on the table. If they were behind, they would turn to us and say, boys, put out the bait lines, because one of the rules was if we got a strike, any kind of a strike, the game was canceled. So sooner or later, we got the call, put the bait rods out. And in those days, Kona waters were prolific with aku, or skipjack tunas. And so we'd do our damnedest to be able to catch a bait, and that ended the cribbage game. Well, a few years go on, and we're still very good friends with William Doc Hill. And it was a weekend that he said, hey, why don't you guys take the boat with your dad? And we had a Japanese captain by the name of Herbert. And we took off out of Keoho Bay. And before we knew it, Dad had a 150-pound marlin at the back of the boat. And so it was turned to Bobby to become the next designated angler for that day. Well, Bobby was 12 years old. I was 11. And lo and behold, Bobby gets a good bite. And he does everything to IGFA rules and regulations at 12 years of age by striking his own fish into the chair And lo and behold, he had a 456-pound marlin at the back of the boat. Well, that was a life changer, absolutely a life changer. So by this time, soon after, we were given a family boat, another sampan by the name Ao Kai, a 50-foot sampan. And this is now 1967, and Bobby becomes the youngest charter boat captain in Kona. Well, in those days in Kona, many of you know, there were only 13 charter boats in those days, and Ao Kai was one of them. Very soon after, with the well-renowned Hawaiian International Billfish Tournament, Bobby got the coveted Henry Chi Award, and he learned more and more what the IGFA rules and regulations were about. So from then on, to my knowledge, every fish that he took was strictly by the rules. He moved on to some more modern boats because the Ao Kai was only a single screw, only did 9 knots, a lot of black smoke, and off he went on to some more modern boats, and I think we've seen a video of a couple of those, and one of the ones that really got a name for himself was the 37 Merit No Problem, and he started accumulating some world records. I was living on the island of Bora Bora in those days, operating an iconic property called the Hotel Bora Bora. But I'd make it back to Kona on occasions with the Bora Bora Fishing Club or the renowned Hau'ula Club of Tahiti. And I noticed something different, that Bobby getting a little reputation why I'd walk around the dock area or in Kona, who in our younger years, we knew everybody in Kona, but I now was being introduced as Bobby Brown's brother. So he moved on to the 43-foot Merit, and of course, lo and behold, 1376 still holds today as the men's all-tackle world record. So soon after that, I was back in Kona again, and I said, damn, I should start cashing in on this reputation that my brother has done. So I would be, again, referred to as, oh, that's Bobby Brown's brother. So I said, no. You got that wrong. Bobby Brown is my brother. And tonight I'm damn proud to say Bobby Brown is my brother, and I congratulate him for the award and thank the IGFA for all he's done. Thank you.
Yeah, back when Bobby Brown was catching records, I was still in the charter dock, but when it came to my light tackle fishing, that's who I called. He answered the phone, he answered all my questions. I couldn't read those Tread Barta stories about light tackle. I had to call Bobby and get the real story. Bobby's very, very humble, so I know his speech won't take but a couple seconds. Bobby told us a story during our pre-meeting tonight. I chummed him up a little bit to tell it, but somebody challenged Bobby one day, the famous captain out in Hawaii, and there's no way, Bobby, you released 120 marlin in 1 year, which was, Bobby was the first out there tagging and releasing and trying to do the right thing. Bobby got up in the guy's face and said, I'll tell you something right now. He said, these tag sticks are 5 feet long. They're a mop handle. I got the best 2 deckhands in the world. We could have gaffed every one of them if we wanted, because back then you had to gaff them. So to start out tagging fish back in those days when every Hawaiian was killing them and then have to get in the face of somebody and stick up for yourself was pretty cool. And then there's a night we were trying to retrieve the hooker, and we had to bring the madam into port in the Hanakaha Harbor, and it was raining, and we were having trouble maneuvering it because the madam was so big it kind of filled up the harbor, and Bobby just happened to be on the boat, and we had these controls out in the back top deck about like this, and Bobby, hold the wheel for 1 second, I got to go help him. 2 hours later, standing in the rain, you had to try to drive that boat and keep it. I know, you owe me one. Anyhow, Captain Bobby, it's my pleasure to have you come up and receive your award. Captain Bobby Brown, come on up. I left the father story out, sorry.
Which one?
The Maggie story.
Oh, that's great. I'm a man of few words, as you all know. But it is humbling to receive this award. And part of the build-up to this is, I started out as an engineering major at Cal Poly. And having fished a bit, I loved it, but for several years I did summer jobs in the phone company until my darling brother conned me one afternoon, one summer, to go work on a fishing boat as a deckhand. Well, needless to say, I'm still doing it. I had to tell my parents that I wasn't going back to school, maybe for a quarter. Well, that ended up being 55 years later. I'm still doing it, although I have retired. And I was blessed with opportunities. I like to be innovative. I really got involved in, well, like they said, releasing fish. That was back in the early 70s, 74, 75, which I think made a big difference for Kona, because every blue marlin that came up, or every marlin, was killed for the meat for $1 a pound. You couldn't blame the guys. And it worked great. Made me feel good, made all my anglers feel good, and it was an awesome deal. And then from then, I started getting charters from a few people. One of them was Steve Zuckerman. I don't know if any of you know Steve Zuckerman, but he fished every summer with me for at least a month. And it was all like, the heaviest tackle we ever fished was 30 pound. I don't know how many world records we caught with Steve. I think the first one we did was a 12-pound world record, which was the first blue marlin caught on 12-pound line, which was 248. But it progressed. We ended up catching the 16-pound, 20-pound, and 30-pound records with Steve, and then various other records with other anglers. But I gained a real liking to light tackle fishing. It was challenging. It taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about how fish move, how fish behave once they're hooked, and how to try to beat them at their own game, which was the most fun in the world. I loved it. And then, once I left Hawaii, I did come over here and did some fishing out of Texas, fished Venezuela, St. Thomas, Venezuela, and whatnot, with Obi and Barkey and all the other guys here. We all fished together down there. And it was quite an education for me, a boy from Hawaii that had never really done it. And it was a whole lot of fun. It was more fun than I can really say. What do you think, Skip? We could tell some stories, we won't. No, what's that? No. We can't divulge those stories here. But and then I ended up meeting a lot of great people over here once I moved to this part of the world from Hawaii in 1990. Had the opportunities to work running boats for some of the finest people I know, and caught more records over here. 2 of them for Fonda. Well, one on this side of the island, of the continent for Fonda Huizinga. We caught that 30-pound women's record in Madeira. Cape Verde, 350, and then we went back and went fishing in Costa Rica. And there's a gentleman here that helped me out on that one. It was Captain Johnny Legrone, who we chartered to fish. He had a boat called the Permit. It was I believe a 45-foot Buddy Davis. And we had a mothership. Well, the first day out, we blow up the engines in the Permit. Done. So Johnny goes and gets his other boat, the 31-foot game fisherman, I believe, and we fished that, and we caught the woman's 8-pound record on that one, which I have to thank Johnny for that. If it hadn't been for Johnny, we wouldn't have done that. And and I had a great run down in Costa Rica with the last boat I ran. Fad fishing, which Skip loves. When you teaser fishing, I just fished 4 teasers, 8, 12, 16, 20-pound line. That's all we fished for the last 3 years down there at the Fads, and we had days of 20 to 30 bites on the teasers. I think our best day was we caught 2 blues on 8-pound, 2 on 12-pound, and a handful on 16, all in one day, which was awesome. And you all ought to try getting down there one day to try it, because it's some of the most awesome fishing there is. And then there is the one fish, the 1376, which we caught. And amazingly, since 1982, that thing's still standing as the all-tackle record over there. One good story about that fish is that I had 2 mates at the time, Dougie Haid and Jody Bright. I'm sure a lot of you know Jody Bright, runs a lot of tournaments. Anyway, Jody decided to take that day off. So on the boat that day, there was just me and Doug and the angler when we caught that fish. I think the hardest part of the whole deal was getting that fish in through the door and into the boat. It was a chore. But anyway, that's kind of my short story. I don't have that much else. I could probably go on for hours and all the different owners I fished over the years. And I'm really grateful to be honored by y'all for this award. And it's been a whole lot of fun for my career.
Money. Bobby thought that fish was like 800 pounds, and it got bigger as it got closer to the boat, right? The 1376, you thought it was like 600 pounds.
750.
He called it 750. He's so humble. He wouldn't even give the fish the right weight when he thought it was that big.
When I gaffed it, I realized.
He came down off the bridge of Gaffa, and then he said, "Oh shh, no, I can't say that." On behalf of the IGFA, I'll let the president present that to you.
Thank you, my friend. Oh, we got to take my name tag off.
Yeah, you'll flash the photographer.
All right. I didn't exceed the limit, did I?
You did great. You made up for it, brother. You did great. You're perfect. Well, I surely enjoyed those 5 incredible stories, and love to thank everybody one more time. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here and your respect. On behalf of the legendary captain and crew, committee, and the IGFA, thank you for joining us this evening. This is a truly special night for the recipients of the Tommy Gifford Award and their families. We applaud all of tonight's inductees and the past recipients. If all of the inductees that got a trophy would please remain up here for a group picture, I'd appreciate it. I think that covers most of the bases. Now it's time for me to have a drink. Thank you, good night, drive careful.